Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Women's Fitness Academy podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ellen. I am an educator for Women's Fitness Academy, as well as a binge and body image coach. And today I am here with someone who, like, when we just had a conversation before, like, it feels like we know each other because we've been following each other for so long and like messaging back and forth for ages. You might know her very big recipe page. It's definitely, I just had a big scroll before we jumped on. I was like, oh my God, they're making me starving. But her name is Noah. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Is this your first podcast?
I've done a couple, just on other people's, obviously, but I actually would like to start my own eventually as well.
Yeah, definitely. What would you want to base that around?
I would want to sort of have a nothing's off limits. I would love to include topics that you discuss, like binge eating, the industry, women's problems, everyday life. I would just love to sort of, the everyday woman, everything.
Yeah, I love that. And I honestly don't think we can have enough of it. I feel like there's still a lot of like men dominating the industry. So I think that's why I really love Women's Fitness Academy. It's very much about, lifting women up, empowering women, just encouraging everyone to collaborate and talk to each other and learn from each other, which is like super, super cool. And I love that. But for those people who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit who you are, your Instagram page, like how all that started?
Yeah, so I'm Noah. I run a kind of not so naughty, healthy eating. Well, I guess it's kind of recipes that traditionally are seen as a little bit more high sugar or high carb, and I try to recreate them in a slightly healthier way so that you feel like there's no restriction and you can enjoy everything you'd like to enjoy while still living a healthy lifestyle, because I truly believe in balance and no restriction. So that page is called Noah's Healthy Eats. And I actually started that as a way to encourage myself to have more food freedom and to cut out restriction, because as many of us or all of us, I did go through a time in my life too where I was very restrictive, so much that I actually caused myself to lose my period, and I had HA, hypothalamic amenorrhea. I can never say that quite right.
Oh my God, I'm just
it's such a tricky one.
HA, yeah.
I'm like, do I say it or just go with HA? But just in case some people didn't know exactly what that stood for. But yeah, so the page was really a way to encourage myself and to promote that and to create a community. And it just grew into so much more than I ever expected.
Yeah, it's blown up. And I feel like, especially in the last like a year or so, it's really gone. Like, it's always been, ever since I started following you, you always had like quite a big following. But like now it's like over 200,000 followers. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm blown away. That does have a lot to do with Reels, I think, as well, because when they came out, you could sort of just reach a larger audience and then they could come and check out your page, and that really helped me grow.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. So you mentioned that before you started, you were struggling a bit, like you weren't eating enough, you felt a bit restricted. Like, do you feel like this was kind of like an eating disorder, or were you just like simply just not eating?
Yeah, it definitely was an eating disorder, which at the time I didn't quite think it was. I thought this is just how it's done. I did a challenge with I was at a gym or something like that, and it was like an 8-week or a 16-week challenge, and this was like maybe 8 years ago plus. So I feel like we weren't as aware back then, or maybe I just hadn't educated myself and there wasn't as much out there telling us and showing women that some bodies or all bodies need more energy and food is fuel and all that stuff. So I was they put me on like a 1,200 calorie diet. And then I was also doing like a workout in the morning and a workout at night. And then some of the meals were just so bland that I couldn't even eat them anyway. So I just was underfueling myself, working out too much, the stress, everything just piled up on me, my sleep, and it just caused me to lose my period and have a really bad mind state about food.
Wow. So when you were doing all this, were you like working with a coach, or was it just like a meal plan, or?
It was working with coaches, but it wasn't an individual program. It was just sort of one plan fits all. They weren't catered to the individual. So it wasn't based off my height and my weight and, a TDE calculator or anything like that. It was just women get 1,200, men get 1,400.
Oh my God, that
Yeah.
is so low.
Mm.
And also just like 1,200 is already low for a female, but 1,400 for a male, like that is absolutely nothing. I probably
Yeah.
eat more than enough for breakfast.
Well, that's it. And I didn't so I think it was about 8 weeks long, and I lost like 10 kilos in the 8 weeks. So it was heavy.
Jesus, that's a
But
lot.
then obviously it was unsustainable.
Mm.
And I pretty much just put it all back on straight away, just trying to eat a little bit normal as well. And then that messed with my head again, like what do you actually have to do if you want to have some fitness goals or something like that? It just really blew things out of proportion about how far you have to go or the way you have to go about it to lose weight healthily.
Wow, that's crazy. So then after you've done the challenge, you lost like losing 10 kilos is crazy. Like that is a lot of
Yeah.
weight, especially in just
Yeah.
8 weeks. And then obviously like that is not going to be very sustainable. Like anyone listening, like if you like the sustainable weight loss is around like half a kilo, maximum 1 kilo a week for most people. Obviously everyone's different, but like 10 kilos in 8 weeks, that's a lot. So I'm not surprised you couldn't keep it off. And like you said, the food was very bland. So then you said you started eating a bit more normally, and you put the weight, like did you put all the weight back on, or like were you like kind of stuck in a binge restrict cycle a little bit, or what's happening there?
Probably a binge restrict. I did put majority back on, maybe just stayed a little bit lower, but then, I because I got hooked on it and they do those challenges every maybe 2 to 3 times a year. I just did another one. And the same sort of thing happened. And it just got to a point where, and like even, I couldn't enjoy life either because I couldn't go out with friends. And I think one time I went out to dinner with friends and I actually took like just some brown rice and broccoli in a container. Like it just went too far.
Yeah. And it's crazy how like it always shocks me so much when I see that these challenges are still around, because
Yeah.
like you said, this was well like 8 years ago or something, and they were definitely a lot more common back then. But just the other day I just talked to someone like, yeah, I'm eating 1,200 calories and like I'm taking all my food everywhere, and this is just the everyday person who's just wanting to lose a little bit of weight and feel a bit better about themselves. This is not like someone who's going to go up on stage. And it's like, why? Like you should never have to take it to that extreme that you have to take your own meals to restaurant and that you can only eat like 1,200
Yeah.
calories.
Well, my mind state now is food is one of life's best experiences, and I will never miss out on that again. And like I have done challenges in the recent, like I did one last year, with some lovely girls, and my maintenance calories were like almost double what that was. And if I did go over, the girls were so good. Like they were just like, well, I hope as long as you enjoyed the food, tomorrow's a new day. Like the mind state and everything was so different. And of course, like I didn't even have goals. I just like to challenge myself sometimes, or maybe do a bit of a nutrition tidy up and aim to drink more water or to have more fruit and vegetable each day. And that book Atomic Habits?
Yeah.
That's in my head always so much. And I always just don't have like an end goal, just do create small habits. And that's always in my head. So if I do anything like a challenge or want to exercise a little bit more or do a cleanup, it's just like, no, I'm going to lose 10 kilos or 2 kilos or whatever. It's going to be, I'm going to do 5 walks
Yeah.
every week or 4 walks every week or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's so important, like have that mindset of being able to enjoy the process and not just be so focused on the end goal.
Yeah.
Because it can be so overwhelming, right? When you just, like, for example, like my girls, they struggle with binge eating, obviously. And if there's someone who's binging every single day, it can be really, really hard to think about a time where you're never ever going to binge again. So like guys who are listening to this, like really focus on like those process goals, like you said, like having those habits every day you can tick off, and doing things that you enjoy doing, eating foods that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
I read this really good quote the other day about how to look at kind of like a goal as a hike more than like, because if you're going on a hike, you're enjoying the view, you're enjoying like walking, you're enjoying like the scenery. You're not just focused on getting to the end.
The end way. Because maybe there's mini goals along the way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think this is such a beautiful analogy. Like, yeah, of course, like going on a hike, the goal isn't to be finished. Like the goal is to actually be on the hike and be like, oh, this is beautiful.
Exactly. And getting to the finish lines, maybe it's just another accomplishment along the way.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I read it and I was like, oh my God, that is so
I'm gonna use
true.
that.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read it, but I'm like using it all the time now. And like all of my girls are like, yes, oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah, that's so good.
And yes, it definitely like helps with like the overwhelm of the goal as well. And like, yeah, I think really enjoying the journey, like anything that you do, like if that's work or weight loss or training, like you do need to enjoy like every day. So when you were stuck in this mindset, did you work with someone to get out of it, or were you just kind of like, oh, I'll do it myself? Like, yeah.
Well, it's really hard actually. It was so long ago. I didn't work with anyone specifically. I think it was a bit of an inner process. Like I did have my family and my friends watching me going like, that seems a bit extreme. And it's completely because I'm actually surrounded by a friend group that's not really into the fitness or health scene either. So I guess I always loved creating food. I'm definitely not, I'm not a natural chef or something or anything like that. My mum never cooked, but I've always been so creative. And I think once I figured out the whole macros and calories and things like that. So at the very start, when I was still doing a challenge or anything like that, these ones were high calorie and everything like that. And I was still very bored of the food, that I was like, I'm just going to try to recreate something that I actually want to enjoy, because I think that's so important now. Like no matter your goals, if you're maintaining, you're gaining, you're losing, or you just want to enjoy your food, I just think the most important thing is really enjoying your food as well as getting the nutrients, micro and macro and all that. But so I think I just took it upon myself to maybe create my own meals that sort of ticked all the boxes that maybe my health coach or whomever I was working with at the time gave me. And then every Sunday I would do a little cook up on my, because I have a private Instagram account, and I would share those photos on my story, and I would have so many friends be like, oh, do you have the recipe for this? Do you have the recipe for that? And I was like, oh, I must be making this look good or something. Like everyone's so involved and excited to see what I'm going to do on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I should make an Instagram page. And I actually said to my partner now, like, should I do it? Or is that like not cool? Like, is that not cool to have like, and it wasn't like a huge thing, or at least personally, I don't even know if I followed a food Instagram account, because back then Instagram was still kind of fresh / I feel like it was all, or at least what I was seeing on Instagram was celebrity or maybe like models and stuff like that. I wasn't really seeing the food and the sports and the education that's around right now. So I did do it anyway. And I just started putting everything in. And back then it was a little bit more raw treats. Like I really had an obsession with raw treats back then. And straight away, like it got a lot of attention. And I think I even used, I work with Macro Mike now, and I had only had my page for maybe a couple of months. and I made something, I think it was like a raw millionaire's slice, and I tagged them, and I only had maybe 200 followers at this point, and they loved it and reposted it, and then that got me some traction as well. And yeah, and from there I just sort of started surrounding myself with more of the community, like people like yourself. And I started seeing that everyone was on this journey. I don't know if everyone was on this journey, or maybe I just started to attract and I started to find people that were all about the balance. And you don't have to cut out chocolate, or you don't have to restrict yourself, you don't have to exercise every day, or you can exercise in a way that you enjoy, whether it's a brisk walk or Pilates or a sport. And that just started to grow, and then my page went in that direction. And I think I don't know, I just went down that road. And now I look back and go, I almost didn't start this page because I thought it wasn't cool. And it's become such a great business opportunity for me as well. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I started it, and I wish it was on better terms, that I wasn't maybe looking, that I didn't fall down that rabbit hole that many people do with the restriction and the depriving myself. But I'm glad that I did correct it early and found a platform that I could teach myself and grow and learn and heal myself, I guess, and find other people and follow other people that were doing the same thing, or promoting the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're doing such a great job with that as well. All of your food looks amazing. So I'm so surprised to hear that you haven't had like any chef training or anything. Because it's not just like, I'm sure it tastes amazing. Like here in Bali, it's a bit hard for me to cook because I don't really have a proper kitchen. But like I'm sure it tastes good, but it also looks so beautiful. So have you had any training in like taking photos, or is this just taught yourself?
Yeah. Well, not really. See, I actually, my page is still such a snippet of what I actually eat. That might be just something that I've made that I think looks extra creative and extra fun, and maybe it looks very decadent, but then it's still got like 25 grams of protein and things like that, because I found that's what my audience were really keen on and interested in. And I'm working on an ebook right now, actually a main meals ebook, because my page is more treaty, like treat-based desserts and things like that.
Yeah.
But I love main meals. But I am worse at filming them. So that's just going to be in the book. But yeah, no, a lot of just trial and error, I think, just creating a lot. And even with the photographs and the filming and everything, just trial and error. I mean, I've definitely watched some online videos and stuff. Broma Bakery, she actually does a course called Influence, and she has like little videos on how to actually create engaging reels and stuff like that helped. But a lot of it was just self-taught, really.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I love those pages that you just like, no, I just taught myself. Because it really shows like when you have a true passion for something and you really want to get good at it, and it's something that you really enjoy doing, it's not like something you have to do. Like that's how you're really going to grow your page. And I think it really, like, obviously you don't put your face out there that much, but it comes through from like with the stuff that you're creating, that you can tell that it's something that you really love. So I think that's so good.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And it's just like I don't know if you even think about this for yourself, but you just look back at little moments in life and go, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have gone down this path. And this is something I'm actually very passionate about. And it's just crazy to think how everything happens.
Yeah.
Domino effect.
Yeah, I love that so much. And yeah, I think sometimes we can get so stuck in like we think that our lives are meant to look a certain way, or like we have this imagine ourselves doing a certain thing or being in a certain point in our life, and then we kind of just miss out on all these opportunities right in front of us. Like if you didn't think that, like if you wouldn't have been like, no, you know what, I'm just gonna start this Instagram page, I don't even care, like if you wouldn't have done that, like who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, exactly. And like my whole life is different because of it, like where like my home and my job situation, and it's literally opened so many doors, both meeting people, traveling places, and even my income and everything. Like, it would have just been such a missed opportunity. And so sometimes people ask me for advice when starting a page. And the truth is, I said, all you actually need to do is actually enjoy, support what you are doing. And just my main one is just start it. Stop like talking about it and just start it, because you will figure out the direction it's supposed to go and
Yes.
what you enjoy and feels natural for yourself.
Yes, I love that so much. And you're so, so right about that. I think there's so many people are sitting and they're like, oh, I have such a good idea, or I have such a cool page that I want to do. And then you're just like, oh, I'm scared.
They're trying to like choreograph it too much,
Yeah.
that it's when they're thinking about it. So that's what I said, just start it. It's probably not going to be exactly what you want it to be at the start. But it's going to naturally develop and grow, and you're going to nurture it to become what you want it to be. So I actually have so much. I would love to get more into stuff you do, and be more verbal about promoting all of that stuff. And even jump on, I think, a little bit more. I really would like to do that, and I do see that in my future. I just need to. I have been doing a few little courses and educating myself here and there, but I feel like I always like to, because I know what I went through and what I had to source information. So I would just never want to say anything. I do speak from my own personal experience when people ask me, or sometimes if I do a question box, but I would never want to put, information out there that potentially might not benefit someone.
Yeah. And I think us, like, who have like a bigger platform and like our, I guess, influences, even though I hate that word because I feel like it's so misused, but we are essentially influencing people to create like healthier lifestyles and create healthier mindsets and stuff. So even we, not the typical get paid to go for lunch influencers.
Would be nice.
But we are still influencing people. And I think it is important, like you said, to know that you have that responsibility. And like, of course, there's always someone who's gonna take what you wrote in like a certain way, or they might get offended or triggered or whatever, but you can't please everyone. But it's a fine line to balance for sure. Just being true to yourself, I think, and just what do you feel comfortable with posting. What's been something that you've struggled with like creating your page and like obviously having this huge growth so quickly?
Probably a bit of imposter syndrome sometimes, because like I said, I haven't had specific training. So for a while, I actually used to get butterflies. Sometimes I would have massive growth overnight, where I'd have like 1,000 new followers overnight. And I'd be like, oh my God, I've tricked these people to coming to follow me. And I think, I don't know if I listened to something or I watched something or I read something, but I remember seeing someone who was doing something similar to myself say, well, no, they've not come to me because I'm a professional chef. I'm not Gordon Ramsay, they're not coming to me and I have this 50 ingredient recipe list on how to do this high-end 2-hour recipe sort of thing. They've come to me because I'm a home chef. I'm relatable to them. And I've made this with minimal ingredients that most people will have if they're more into that health and fitness, protein kind of industry, which is my community. And I think that's where my audience is. And I'm relatable basically. So I've made it in a way that they can make it too. And it's quick. And a lot of my recipes will, be like anywhere from 5 to 10 ingredients. And it's simple. So, and I'm like, that is why they're coming to me. And that is my niche. I'm not selling myself as a professional chef. I'm not on MasterChef or anything like that. So I think a lot of it was just having that confidence in myself and getting over the imposter syndrome of the rapid growth, because I always thought when I did this page, it was going to be, I just never saw it getting like this big. I never saw that I would be working with protein companies or other companies or brands that I've always used, or speaking to people that I thought were like, would never know who I was, if that makes sense. And yeah, so I think just getting the confidence and just conquering that imposter syndrome was probably the biggest struggle.
Oh, I love that so much. And it is just so cool when you look can actually happen when you are putting yourself out there and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Like you literally never know. And that's that I think the cool thing with social media is that you could literally blow up overnight.
You could because there's people like Sarah. Do you know Sarah's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's people like Sarah's Day whom, she's not been on a reality TV show, or we don't know her from that, and we don't know her from she's not a celebrity or someone famous's kid, and like most people will know her and stuff, and that's because of her influence on Instagram and what she's done. And there's so many other people I could mention. She's just the first person that came to my mind, but it's just crazy both the influence, the platform, and kind of what Instagram's become and can take you. It's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think there's definitely so many like good benefits from it. Like we spoke about before, how we feel like it's kind of like a little community. Like we have that little group that kind of always chatting to each other, commenting on each other's things, like sharing each other's things. And it's nice that you can actually find like a little community like that online. Like sometimes I feel like the online
it's surprising. It surprises me. Yeah, because I've caught up with quite a few people I've met on
Have you? I love
Instagram.
that.
I have. Like, there's not too many in Melbourne, but I've caught up with quite a few for lunch or breakfast. And I actually have one friend who lives in Perth that also has a page, and we speak every day because we really connected over we're in similar stages of our life. We've both had similar issues with our relationship with food in the past, and I feel like we actually helped heal each other together. So that was really great. And we talk probably every single day. It's crazy. Like to even know that I've met friends that I'll keep forever, just another thing. Like, what if I didn't start this page?
Yeah, God, I 100% agree. And like sometimes, like there's so many people that I have never met, but I know that if something would happen in my life, I could 100% message that person, and they'd be like they would have my back. They would be able to, like they would be there, talk you through it. And I think it's so cool what you said about how you felt like your friend going through the same thing, that you kind of helped each other heal. Because I think that going through like struggles with eating disorders or just disordered eating issues or body image in general, I think a big reason why there's so many people struggling is because no one's talking about it.
100%.
Everyone it's kind of like a taboo a subject, and it's like no one really wants to say I don't like how I look, or I just had a binge, or I feel really like shit around food. But I think it's so important that we do talk about it and we make it not normalized, because no one should have to struggle, but still something that you can
normalize talking about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about it.
Yeah, I think it's so good. And I think like I really do, like if anyone's listening to this is struggling, like I really do encourage you to open up about it. And like maybe you're not ready to get help from a professional, but at least talk about it and voice it, and just don't just hide away in the shadows, because the longer you hide, the worse it's going to get.
100%. Yeah.
So with having such a big Instagram page, like obviously there always comes these people who like don't like you, and like they always have an opinion about everything like that. Do you ever feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't post this, or like that you're worried about posting something because like someone might say something?
Yeah. Look, mine's I'm pretty tame with mine, with what I say, and I think that sort of is what I said earlier about I try not to say anything I don't feel very confident, or like that I don't feel very confident or educated about. I try to just give information that I know and trust, or is personal. Occasionally I'll do a post where I'll just explain why I started the page and just say that, I wanted to encourage food freedom for both myself and others. And you have to enjoy your food for a sustainable and to be able to adhere long term to a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. So, to be honest, I have been pretty safe with my content, and I haven't really had any trolls. Touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood, touch wood. No,
Yeah.
that's so good to hear. And like, I always get surprised when people say that they have trolls, but I like to ask it because I think it just shows you that they're literally everywhere. Like you can't really do anything right. Like you're
Yeah.
not gonna get
Do you know
someone.
what? I have had them on TikTok, and it can be
Oh my God,
nothing
I
to
can
do
imagine.
with my food. They can attack you for anything. So, um, do you know what? I don't actually love TikTok. I like Instagram because I think you've got a bit more of a community of like-minded individuals, and
Hmm.
I think you attract certain people and they have to follow you mainly. But with TikTok, you literally reach anyone and everyone.
Hmm.
And it's just not as nice community to put it in nice words. But with that, I just choose not to read comments. I just don't need to. That's
Hmm.
not my community. And I'll put, if I think I've done a good interactive, what's the word? Captivating video, I'll put that onto my TikTok as well, but that's not my place. I
Yeah.
feel like Instagram is my place.
Yeah, I feel like it's so much easier to like create a community there.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like you mainly see the posts that you like people that you follow. With TikTok, it's like I think I follow like 20 people, but I barely ever see their posts. I only see like the
Yeah.
For You page, like just random
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah, definitely. My partner's obsessed with TikTok. He'll just go forever on the most random subjects, but they're like animals that are extinct now. So
It is,
I think TikTok can be, great, funny
yeah.
videos, educational and stuff like that. But if you're putting anything personal out there or not professional, like there is a lot more, there's a bigger target on your back, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and sometimes people just comment random stuff and they have absolutely nothing to do with you, and
Yeah.
then they just sometimes it's like people just have all this like nastiness in their brains that they just need to get out there, and they're just like, oh, that person
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
take it. Like,
Not
no,
even on my own videos, but I
yeah,
I see comments on other people's videos that I'm like, who is the person that is taking the time out of their day to write this? Like, I just don't understand some people. I really don't.
yeah, no, God, no, God, no, me either.
Yeah.
For someone who is like really wanting to get into like cooking and experiment and make more in the kitchen, like, do you have any advice of like where to find recipes or where to get inspired? Like, how do you find your inspiration?
So when I started, because again, my page is probably a little bit more treat based, I do some main meals and things like that, but everything is derived from my favorites. In terms of I would walk down a chocolate aisle and I'd be like, Black Forest, how good's Black Forest? I should make something to do with Black Forest. And I would just have a look at the picture basically and be like, chocolate, something red, something chewy, like,
I
okay,
love
I'm gonna
that.
grab that. And maybe I'd grab some natural lollies or I'll just grab some what I considered better for you ingredients and
Mm.
just recreate that recipe. And again, I used to love doing raw treats. So I'd make my own little raw treats in that way too. Or my favorite recipe from an Indian shop, like butter chicken curry. And I would make it at home. Like I would try the real version. Then sometimes I even buy like a pad thai and then I'll try and make my own and I'll be trying both and be like, okay, this is still definitely better. But that's sort of my inspiration. Like I just want to recreate my favorite meals and just try to make them a little bit more better for you or
Mm.
something that maybe you could have on a daily basis rather than just your weekend food.
Yeah.
And and even better, I'm not intolerant to dairy, but a lot of it or too much of it, like many of us, can make me feel not good.
Mm.
So sometimes I might do it with a bit of coconut, like make a butter chicken curry with a bit of coconut milk instead. So it's just fun to recreate things that make me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a good idea. Because I think that's something that people struggle with a lot. It's like, oh, what can I eat? But if you literally just go, oh, what's my favorite food? Like I'll create a healthier version of kung pao chicken or something like that.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I said my page started. I was so restricted. I was literally having like my lunches for 6 weeks straight was brown rice, tempeh, like plain tempeh, and broccoli, and just nothing to it. And I remember I actually got
How'd
put
you
off
even get that
broccoli.
down?
I got put off broccoli for 2 weeks. Not sorry, 2 weeks, like 2 years straight. I can have broccoli now and I like it, but I literally couldn't look at broccoli. And I was like, no, I just need to like enjoy my food. So that's how it started. I think it was that something went inside me. This is not what life is supposed to be.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
And that's not an experience I want to miss out on.
Yeah, no.
So I just like thought, okay, I'm gonna make these in a way that makes me feel better, both healing my relationship with food, and I will have any version. You know what I mean? Like I'll have the Thai from the Thai restaurant or the Indian restaurant. That's okay. That's my sometimes food. But for both price consciousness, for convenience, and to make both, my body feel good, then that's where the creating my own version comes from.
Yeah, I really like that. And like I love how you're creating these foods because you love your body and because you want to feel good, not because you want to look in a certain way. I think that's so important to remember, that when you are on this journey of, we at the end of the day, we all just want to feel good. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's all about, like, even sometimes if you're with a coach now, a lot of the time, I think the way that the world is going, or at least this is what I'm seeing and what I'm surrounding with myself, a lot of the time it's not just aesthetically, it's to feel better on the inside as well and have more energy and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's something that people tend to forget. They just get so focused on the weight loss goal or the training goal or whatever it is, that they forget, like, I actually want to feel good. Like, how do I feel? Like, maybe I feel better if I am a couple of kilos heavier, or maybe if I feel better if I allow myself to go out for burgers with my friends on a Wednesday, like a random Wednesday night.
When I was trying to get my period back, I actually was a complete vegetarian, and I had gone to a naturopath, and she's like, she suggested many of things, and one of them was like, eat more fats, increase your fats, and also increase your calories. I wasn't tracking or anything, just basically eat more. And there was a few other things that were a bit woohoo, but I did them anyway. And I still do them now. One of them's like, never sleep with your phone next to you unless it's on airplane mode. And that one, I don't know if that's got anything to do, but I can't not. I even say to my partner every night, is your phone on airplane mode? I just have to, because your alarm still goes off and everything. And then it's not she also said for like your internal rhythms and everything like that, don't look at your phone first thing in the morning, like look at the light first. So I always like look in the sun before I check my phone.
Oh, that's a good one though.
Yeah. So those are the two things that, it could be either way, but I still did them. And the other thing was, because I was a vegetarian, I actually started having salmon and fish. And it took a little bit to mentally get over that. But I do think I was obviously missing some nutrients in other departments as well. And that really, I think that helped contribute in getting my period back.
Yeah, and I think with like your whole new like sleep routine, I think that's something that people forget about. And I've recently started doing like a new morning routine this year, where I, instead of going straight into work, I go for a walk, and then I read a book, and then I journal, and I listen to a podcast. And like, I've noticed that my sleep has gotten so much better.
That's so good, yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy how, because you don't think that your morning routine can have anything to do with how you're sleeping, because that happens before.
Yeah, exactly. It's life, isn't it? Like in terms of getting a period back or other health issues, weight, anything. It's not just one thing. It's not just food. It's not just exercise. It can be sleep, water, stress, happiness, like everything. And especially with HA, it is not one thing. It is a combination of things. And I feel like my body wanted me to not like it wanted me to relax more. Like every time I would feel stressed, I really put all my energy for like 10 months into getting my period back because I didn't have one for about 2 years.
Mm.
And so for that 10 months, I had the fish. I still have fish now and I really love it. And I'm even eating more. I'm a little bit more of a flexitarian now. So yeah, so I would have the fish. I would make sure I'd get my 8 hours. I would have my water. I would yeah, do my 5 minute meditations if I felt like I was getting too worked up. I would take a step back. I would have rest days. And then it's once you're doing all that, just hold that. You got to keep doing it because your
Mm.
body's got to know that you're not just doing this as a trick to get your period back. This is your new lifestyle and you're going to maintain that. And then I was rewarded.
Yeah. No, I think that's so, like, you're so right. Like this, your stress levels has such a huge effect on your hormones. So
Yeah.
it's something that a lot of people think it's just about like what the food is, but it's so much more as well. So that's so good, and good on you for getting it back. And I think a lot of people, like, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Now with like everything that's happening, obviously you're working with like so many cool companies and like your page is growing. Like, what is the goal for your page?
So, um, secret alert.
Oh, hear her first.
I'm announcing it soon, so it doesn't matter. But I'm actually pregnant. Uh,
Congratulations.
yeah, so, and that's another thing that, like I didn't even know was in my future because of the period issues and the HA. And it was something that took a while again, but I'm pregnant. So I do hope that I can sort of incorporate that into my page, maybe get a bit of a mummy community as well. But I'm excited to learn more myself and maybe be able to produce some content that is beneficial for the mums as well. Like I don't want to ditch my old community. I just want to integrate it. And
Mm.
yeah, so that's my future plans, and that's all that's going through my head right now, to be honest.
Oh my God, I can imagine. Oh, that's so exciting. And I'm sure your community will grow with you as well. And then you'll attract more
Yeah.
people, like a new kind of group of people who mums and mums to be. Like, I think that's so lovely. And I'm so happy for you. I was thinking, like, damn, she is really glowing, but now it all makes sense.
Oh yeah, well the first bit was I didn't feel the glow at all, to be honest. It was really hard, but I'm just out of that part now. And that's probably like my page actually went a bit quieter for a while over December. My taste buds have changed and what I can eat. I'm on a whole lot of carbs right now. I can tell you that. Like toast is my best friend. So my new nighttime routine is to take a buttered piece of toast to bed with me at 10:30 p.m.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
But yeah, like I'm just excited to learn more, to potentially, yeah, bring on that community and again just share things that is going to help everyone. So yeah, I'm excited to learn, I'm excited to share and just create another community or more community.
Oh, I love that so much. And I'm so excited to follow this new journey of yours as well. But yeah, thank you again so much for coming on. We will of course link your Instagram account down below. Do you know roughly when the ebook will be out?
We're hoping March.
Okay, cool. So that will be pretty good timing to this episode then.
Yeah.
So definitely, guys, make sure you go check her out. The recipes, like even just us talking about all this food makes me so hungry. I'm like, I just need to go get something now. I'm starving.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, you'll have to give me some result. You'll have to give me some requests as well.
Yeah.
Recipe requests.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find some Balinese food and be like, can you make this a little bit more healthier version? Amazing. Well, guys, as usual, please make sure you do take a screenshot if you're listening, that you tag myself, tag Noah, tag Women's Fitness Academy, tell us what you think, and obviously go onto Noah's page, try her recipes and buy her ebook, and yeah, tag her in all your creations. Like, I'm sure she loves to see that as well.
I do.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.